So, Hebrews 11 verse 32, we'll begin there. It says, the author says, "And what more can I say? Time is too short for me to tell about Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, of David and Samuel and the prophets, who by faith conquered kingdoms, administered justice, obtained promises, shut the mouths of lions, quenched the raging of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, gained strength after being weak, became mighty in battle, and put foreign armies to flight. Women received their dead raised to life again. Some men were tortured, not accepting release, so that they could, or so that they might gain a better resurrection. And others experienced mockings and scourgings, as well as bonds and imprisonment. They were stoned. They were sawed in two. They died by the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, destitute, afflicted, mistreated. The world was not worthy of them, and they wandered in deserts, mountains, caves, and holes in the ground. All these were approved through their faith, but they did not receive what was promised, since the Almighty had provided something better for us, so that they would not be made perfect without us. Therefore, since we have such a large cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us lay aside every weight and the sin that so easily ensnares us, and run with endurance the race that lies before us, keeping our eyes on Yeshua, the source and the perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that lay before him endured a cross and despised the shame, and hath sat down at the right hand of Yahweh's throne. For consider him who endured such hostility from sinners against himself, so that you won't grow weary and lose heart. In struggling against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood." Let's keep reading. Verse 5, "And you have forgotten the exhortation that addresses you as sons," or as children, sons and daughters. "My son, do not take Yahweh's discipline lightly, or faint when you are reproved by him. For Yahweh disciplines the one he loves, and punishes every son whom he receives. Endure it as discipline. Yahweh is dealing with you as children. For what child is there whom a father does not discipline? But if you are without discipline, which all receive, then you are illegitimate children and not sons and daughters. Furthermore, we had natural fathers discipline us, and we respected them. Shouldn't we submit even more to the Father of spirits and live? For they disciplined us for a short time based on what seemed good to them, but he does it for our benefit so that we can share his holiness. No discipline seems enjoyable at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it yields the fruit of peace and righteousness to those who have been trained by it. Therefore, strengthen your tired hands and weakened knees, and make straight paths for your feet, so that what is lame may not be dislocated, but healed instead." I think I'll stop right there. Yahweh, Father, I love you. Bless the congregation today through the teaching of your word. Let us gather what you have to show us. Hallelujah. It has been a very long week for me this week, but I am here again at the Holy Convocation, and I am thankful to be here again at the sacred public meeting of Yahweh's people. We've gotten to read the Torah, Exodus 14, one more time publicly. We've gotten to pray together, the Lord's Prayer. We've gotten to sing songs together one more time. And I get to teach at least one more time. We do not know what the future holds. We don't know what tomorrow may bring. But I at least get to teach one more time. And we should all be very grateful. Are you grateful today? Are you thankful? I want to thank all of you for being faithful to Yahweh. I sure wouldn't like it if I had to come here and teach and it was just me every Sabbath. I probably would last for a little while, but after coming and being by myself for too much, I don't know if I could endure. I don't know if I can handle it. I used to tell everybody when we would sing at a concert, I would tell the people that came out to watch the concert, whether it was 10 or whether it was 500, thank you for being here, because it would just be another rehearsal or practice with the band if you weren't here for the concert. And this is way more important than that. But I want to thank everybody that is here for being faithful to our little congregation that we have. I appreciate it, but most importantly, Yahweh Almighty appreciates it. So it keeps me encouraged to see people do what is right. I'd like to talk to you today about the subject of serving Yahweh even when everything does not go as planned. Serving Yahweh through our problems. Serving Yahweh through when all hell breaks loose in our life, or when everything goes wrong, or when something does not happen that you thought for sure was going to happen. When you're sick, serving Yahweh when you're sick. Serving Yahweh when you have a loved one or a friend that passes away. Serving Yahweh when you lose your job or your house or whatever the case is. Through all of these things, it is very easy for us to get discouraged when life takes place. It is easy for people to go through depression when these things happen. And I want to make sure that you know that a child of Yahweh can go through these things and these times in his or her life, and it never has to mean that Yahweh doesn't love you. For scriptural backing, let me go through the scriptures briefly. For scriptural backing to what I am going to say in this lesson, we have the entirety of the book of Job, who through the first two chapters of that book is called a righteous man. He is called a perfect man. He feared Yahweh. He shunned evil. He regained or kept his integrity through all of it. Yet he went through calamity after calamity. He lost just about everything that he had, and even was sick in his own body. I read this morning in Genesis 35 where Rachel, the wife of Jacob, she died while she was giving birth to Benjamin. And she wanted to name him son of my sorrow, and Jacob said, no, we're going to name him son of my right hand, Benjamin instead of Ben-Oni. That's very sad that Rachel had to die while she was giving birth to a child, yet Yahweh was still with Jacob and the rest of his family. And Yahweh was with Rachel in death. In the Psalms, we have verses that say things like this: many are the afflictions of the righteous, but Yahweh delivers them out of all of them. Psalm 34. We have Psalm 73, where the psalmist asked, did I purify my heart and wash my hands in innocence for nothing? For I am afflicted all day long and punished every morning. In the Newer Testament, we have examples like Paul, who asked for an affliction to be taken away. He called it a thorn in the flesh, a messenger of Satan that was sent to buffet him, lest he be exalted above measure due to the abundance of revelations that he received. But when he asked the Lord to remove that thorn in the flesh, or that affliction in his body, whatever it was, when he asked the Lord to remove that from him, the Lord answered him by saying, no, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in your weakness. That's 2 Corinthians 12. We also see Paul, after his conversion in preaching the gospel, he goes through being shipwrecked. He goes through being naked. He goes through being without food at times, 2 Corinthians 11. And I guess our greatest example that was mentioned in Hebrews chapter 12 is Yeshua of Nazareth, the Son of Almighty Yahweh, Yahweh's only begotten Son. He was the ultimate example of a righteous follower of Yahweh, but his purpose upon this earth led him to be humiliated and tortured and crucified. In Hebrews chapter 5 says, though he were a son, he learned obedience by the things that he suffered. And Hebrews 12 says, because of the joy that laid before him, because of the reward that he knew he was going to receive, he endured the shamefulness and the pain of the cross. And then what did Yahweh do? Yahweh exalted him and set him at the right hand of the throne of Yahweh. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2. So we have to remember all of these examples in the Scriptures. The righteous people and the righteous saints of Yahweh go through trials and problems and tests and calamities, and things happen in life. We also have to remember as well that we are not perfect people. It would be nice if we were. Praise Yahweh, I believe one day we will be made perfect and complete and entire, lacking nothing. I believe one day the law of Yahweh will be written on all the saints' hearts, and you'll be able to know it in its entirety, and you won't need anybody to teach it to you, for we'll all know Yahweh from the least to the greatest in the kingdom. But even in our service to Yahweh now, as devoted as we may be to Yahweh now, in our service to Him, we're deficient. We're lacking. We're not complete. It was only the Messiah that never messed up. Only the Messiah always obeyed Yahweh. We make a mess of all sorts of things, and even though we're devoted to Yahweh, He has to chastise us and put us through trials and teach us lessons in hardships and conform us to the image of His Son. It's not an easy process for us because we're very stubborn and we're very stiff-necked. That's why we sang in Deuteronomy 10 through 11, it says, "Take away the stone on your heart. Get rid of that stiff neck, O Israel." Why did Yahweh tell that to the children of Israel then and today? Because we are a stubborn group of people. And we need to learn, and the way that we learn is through trials. And the way that we learn is through hardships in life. We need to be conformed to the image of Yahweh's Son. When we're going through a trial, it does not mean that Yahweh hates us. On the contrary, it means that Yahweh loves us. When we do something that is not in line with Yahweh's commandments and He chastises us, He is dealing with us as His children, we read in Hebrews 12. We're not fatherless. We're not illegitimate. We're His children. He loves us. So when we do wrong, He has to discipline us, bring us back in line, teach us. He's taking care of us. He's pruning us. This teaching comes at times when He is chastising us because of our sin. Other times it comes when He is just making us a stronger person by putting us through the trials that come with being a human being. We may not be involved in any kind of sin or unrepentance, but because we're His child, He says, all right, it's time to take you to the next level. And we like the sound of going to the next level, but then Yahweh says, you've got to go through this for 6 months or a year or 2 years or 5 years in order to get to that next level. And then when we start going through the trials and the hardships, we say, whew, I don't know if I want to go to the next level yet. But this is how we get to the next level of service and righteousness to Yahweh. He's making us stronger people. The truth is not that if you serve Yahweh, you'll never have any problems. Very popular in modern day Christianity, the health and wealth gospel, where it's almost like they teach that the good news is that if you pray the sinner's prayer, don't worry, all your bills will be paid. And that's really not what the gospel is about, because there's sometimes when we may go through hardships and we don't have the money to pay what we owe. There's times when we serve Yahweh and we get sick and it takes a while for us to get better. But through those hard times is when we learn and when we grow. The truth is not if you serve Yahweh, you'll never have any problems. Overall, obedience brings our best life now. Obedience to the commandments, overall, in general, brings our best life now. But believers still have problems. Why? Because we're sinful human beings. We live in a fallen world. So it is okay for us to cry. It is okay for us to hurt. It's okay to be sad. It's okay not to be okay sometimes. Yet we keep the faith. We don't waver in our faith. As Job teaches, take my life, but not my integrity. So in my short life upon this earth, I have been lied on. I have been cheated. I have been rumored about. I've helped people and then gotten stabbed in the back in return. Anybody ever had that happen to them? I've treated people how I would want to be treated, only to have them turn around and be the devil in disguise. That's not easy. Sometimes it makes you wonder if anything that you do makes a difference. There have been times when I wondered if I should move in a different direction in my life and belief. And then I shake myself back into Yahweh's reality, or the Holy Spirit of Yahweh shakes me back into His reality. And I realize, to whom shall I go? For you alone have the words of life. Where else would I turn? What else would I do if not serve the Creator? For He alone has the words of life. We're all corruptible flesh. We all deal with different pasts. We deal with different problems. We deal with different family backgrounds. We have different struggles. As people, we have to deal with all of these things. We're not cows that stand out in the pasture and eat grass all day. I was looking at my chickens the other day as I let them out every morning. And they ruffle their feathers. And they run out every day. They scratch. And they eat. And that's what they do. And sometimes they lay an egg. And I like that. And then at night, sundown, they go in. And I pin them up. That's their life. We're not chickens. We're not cows. We're human beings. Those chickens were not made in the image of Yahweh. We should take care of our animals, you know. And Yahweh gives them to us and they're great. But they're not made in the image of Yahweh. Humans are. Genesis 1:26, Yahweh said, let us make man in our image and our likeness. And He made man in His image and likeness. So we are mankind, and with that status comes great privilege. But it also comes with the fact of sin and with fallenness. Brothers and sisters, we're not meant to understand every detail of everything that we go through in life. There was a time in my ministry and my walk with Yahweh that no matter what I was asked, even if I didn't fully know or didn't know, I would try to come up with an answer on the fly, because after all, I'm a minister, I'm a preacher. I should know an answer to the question. And so I would try to come up with an answer. And that was just youthful zeal, but not according to knowledge. And with both natural and spiritual age, I have learned to just tell people that I do not know when they ask me a question that I don't know the answer to. And I'm okay with that. I think that there's some things that we'll never know in this life. I've had people cry on my shoulder, sob, sweat, spit, everything on my face. And I just pat them on the back. Sometimes I cry with them. Sometimes I don't have it in me to cry with them. They unload their heart to me. I wear a lot of different hats. I deal with a lot of different questions. They ask me why. Why did my spouse do this? Why did I have this problem with my child? Why did I lose my child? I wished I had the answer to every question. I really do. But that's just me thinking out loud. That's my humanity thinking, I wished I had the answer to every question, because Yahweh does have the answer to every question, and He doesn't reveal them all to us. And because His thoughts are so much higher than mine, as high as the heavens are above the earth, I need to just put faith that He's got everything in control and everything's working out according to His plan, according to His will, His perfect will. All things work together after the counsel of His will, Ephesians chapter 1 says. I'm not built to answer all of the questions. You're not built to answer all of the questions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to not understand. It's okay to ask why. I believe that it's normal to get angry and hurt when things like this happen. And if you read the Psalms, there are times when David says things like, why? How long? What is the meaning of this, Yahweh? And Yahweh never gives him the answer, but he's frustrated and he's going through life because King David, even though he had a prestigious position, he's a human being just like me and you. He went through problems just like me and you. When all that sneaky stuff went on with Bathsheba and Uriah, and then Bathsheba got pregnant, Yahweh took that child as a punishment for what David had done. And David mourned, and then when it was over and he realized this is how it was going to be, he washed his face, he got up, and he moved on with life. So we're not meant to understand everything, but it's okay to wonder, it's okay to ask why, it's okay to question, it's okay to say how long, oh Yahweh. How long will you let all of this wickedness go on? How long? How is it that people get away with all of sorts of unrighteousness and sin in the world? It's okay to ask those questions. I don't know the answer. I do believe that Yahweh is in control. And you can't take that away from me because He put that inside of me. He put that inside of me. So we have to rest in our Creator is so much more intelligent than we are. He always has a purpose in everything He does, or in those things that He doesn't firsthand do but allows to take place. He even has a purpose in those things that He allows. We must also recognize that some things happen not because He causes them, but simply because of the overall sinfulness and corruptibility in the world. It is so wonderful when Yahweh heals somebody of a sickness or a disease. I go back from time to time, and I was so glad when Brother TJ gave a testimony up here, months ago. And I pulled out my phone, I was sitting over there, and I got it on record, and I can go back and I can watch it from time to time. And I'm so glad that he's sitting in here and he looks great. I'm so glad Yahweh heals us of sicknesses that are much less than what Brother TJ has been through. I remember last January I don't know what it was, but it felt like the flu. And it knocked me on my back. And Tisha says every time I get sick, I tell her, this is the worst time, honey. I've never been this sick. That's what us men do, right? But I'm glad Yahweh delivered me from that sickness. I wouldn't want to stay in bed. I couldn't work for about 8 days. I was that sick. So I'm thankful when Yahweh heals us of a sickness, whether it be serious disease or whether it be something that we go through for a week or two. Especially if someone is a close family member, a loved one, or a friend. I don't like to see anybody suffer. It's wonderful because we get to continue to spend time with that person and to hug that person and to tell that person we love them. It's wonderful because it hurts when someone we love goes through a problem like a disease or a sickness. It hurts us to see somebody else hurt. Well, my granddaddy was sick. He passed away in 2019, September the 8th. When he was sick, all kinds of people were praying for him to be healed. Do you think Yahweh could have healed him? Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. He could have healed him just a snap of His almighty fingers. Yahweh could have let him live to 97 instead of 77. You say, well, Brother Matthew, he was 77, people have to die. Listen, it's not any harder for Yahweh to heal somebody at 77 or 27. Not any harder for Yahweh. So Yahweh could have healed my granddad, but Yahweh did not heal him. And we can all rack our brains, and believe me, I did at the time, and it's sad, and I can rack my brains, and I can try to give answers as to why, but the fact is my granddad was a human being, and he lived in a corruptible body. He died just like Abraham died, Job died, Peter died. I'm not talking about the same exact way of death, but death in general. We die because we're mortal, we're corruptible, we get old, we get wrinkles. We don't look the same at 80 as we did when we were 10 because we're corruptible flesh. That's the same reason we get sick or hurt ourselves on the job or cut our finger while we're cooking or stub our toe on the couch or the chair, something that I tend to do a lot. It's because we're frail humans who go through problems. Could Yahweh make it where we would never have any problems? Yes, He could. He could. But we would never learn important lessons. We would never grow. We learn the most, brothers and sisters, not when we're on the mountaintops. The mountaintops, the victories, they feel good, they're great. I like to have them, but that's not when we learn the most. We learn the most when we go through the depths of despair, when we're down in the valley, when everything is dark and we cry and we moan and we don't feel like eating. That's when we learn the most. I like to feel good. I like to have smooth times in my life, but I have learned the most by being in sad times and heartache and trials and tests, and my faith has strengthened when it looks like there's no hope and there's no victory and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. So whenever you get down or discouraged, and whenever you feel like giving up or going in another direction, that is not the time to stop service to Yahweh. We'll have times, if you live long enough in service to Yahweh, we'll all have times where we feel like that, where we feel like giving up. And we think we're going to try something different. We're going to try a different route because this is just not working. You don't realize, but it's working according to the plan of Yahweh, see? It's not the time to stop serving Yahweh. I've seen it happen. I have seen people serve the Creator for a while, then fall away for various reasons. But that is not the answer. You will never find the answer to your problems out in the world. The world will have you sell your soul for money and for fame. The adversary will promise you all the prestige you could ever dream of. Satan himself said, "Bow down to me and I'll give you all the kingdoms of this world to the Messiah." In Matthew chapter 4. I'll give you all of this, but all of this is only temporal. None of it is eternal. Even this Bible, as much as I love it, and I'll pass it down to my children, and Yahweh's will, my grandchildren, it's temporal. It's not eternal. We've got to set our eyes and our goal like Yeshua. We have to endure now because we know about the joy that lays ahead. See? Everything that the world offers, everything that the devil offers, all of it will look pretty. It's so funny when I see people think that they've got this great big giant spiritual radar when they recognize wickedness when it looks like wickedness. That's not hard to do. My son used to say, my oldest son Benjamin used to say when Halloween would roll around, he said, "Dad, you talk about wolves in sheep's clothing." He said, "This holiday looks like a wolf in wolf's clothing." It's easy to spot wickedness when it looks wicked. But Paul said to the Corinthians, don't be amazed. Even Satan himself comes looking like an angel of light. When deception comes and when things try to come and trip you up and take away your joy and rob you of the victory and rob you of your obedience to Yahweh and a life of service to Him, it's always going to look like it's something that's good. Anything that's not good, your radar is good enough to detect that. But when something comes and looks pleasurable, because sin is pleasurable for a season, it's going to look like I can go that route and I'll be okay. Sin is pleasure for a season, but it has no lasting satisfaction. When we go through all of those things, continue to serve Yahweh. Keep the faith. Don't lose your victory. Don't lose your joy. Don't lose your obedience. Don't lose your dedication. You keep the faith. No matter what takes place in your life. You hear somebody has been talking about you, you keep the faith. You pray for those that talk about you. That's what Yeshua said we're supposed to do anyhow. You go through a trial, a test, a sickness, a disease, losing somebody, losing a friend, losing a family member, you keep the faith. This morning I was putting the finishing touches on my lesson today, and I thought about how that me, in my own life, in my personal life, Brother Matthew, I battle with and struggle with depression. Now, I used to be quiet about that, and it's pretty much because I was embarrassed. I thought something was wrong with me, and I still feel like something is wrong with me from time to time. And I've learned how to hide it real good, and I wonder why I am the way that I am sometimes. But I decided a few years back to just be open with it, and not just open with it in a normal, natural way, but to be open with it in my ministry. Because surely there's other people that deal with some of the things that I deal with. I can't explain. But surely there's other people that deal with this, and maybe me ministering about it, teaching about it, and talking about it will help them feel better and maybe conquer or have at least small victories in their battle with depression. And I have been amazed at how many people have come to me and shared with me that they deal with some of the same things that I deal with since I've started talking about it. People come up to me in person, send me a private message or a text or an email. Brother Matthew, I saw this sermon. I watched this video. I've got some videos on my ministry channel on YouTube where I talk about depression. And I'm not this big therapist, counselor guy that knows all these, giant words and exactly what things to say and wake up and tell yourself, you're a good person when you get out of bed and stuff like that. I don't know how to do all that stuff. But I do know a lot of times that just talking with somebody about problems that has the same problems can help. Sometimes I wish that I could sit in a room with like 20 people that dealt with the same things that I deal with in my life, and we could just share, and I could listen. And it feels good when somebody understands something that you go through. I cannot explain it to you if you don't have that struggle, but I can assure you that depression is a struggle that people go through, and it's just as real as a broken arm or a sprained ankle. It's just as real. You have to do things to heal those, and you have to do things to heal depression when it comes knocking. Now, again, I'm not a counselor by trade. I do not have all the answers. But I want you to know that if you deal with something like this, it does not mean that Yahweh doesn't love you. It doesn't. And let me say this. This is not in my notes, but this is something that bothers me to no end. Especially in the Messianic Hebrew Roots Torah observant movement, when people want to use a Greek word from where we get our word pharmacy. The Greek word is pharmakia, and they want to use a Greek word and try to say that all medicine falls up under the category of witchcraft. That's somebody that doesn't know how to use a lexicon. That's somebody that doesn't know the Greek language. That's somebody that saw a meme or a Facebook post and ran with it. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. Because all through Scripture, there were people that not only were healed, but there were people that used medication. The Bible says that a merry heart does good like a medicine. And if that's true, then a medicine does good like a merry heart. The Bible says that King Hezekiah was healed through this potion of figs, this poultice that the prophet Isaiah had made and placed upon his body. Yahweh could have healed him miraculously, but there was medication that put him out of his misery and helped him cure from his problem. And I say all that to say that if you are somebody that has problems in depression, and there are certain medications that can make you function and live your life in service to Yahweh and do your job and lift your hands and sing, praise you, Yahweh, thank you for another day, that is not witchcraft, brothers and sisters. Witchcraft, that type of pharmakia, is medication or drugs that people take and cause them to step outside of the terms of the covenant of Yahweh and do things that Yahweh would not approve of. So if a brother or a sister takes medication and that makes them get up and go to work and thank Yahweh and read their Bible and pray, all glory to Almighty Yahweh. But if it makes them rob and steal and kill and cheat and lie and all of those things, that's witchcraft. So there are things that you can take to balance your natural body out. And if you don't realize it, that's where one of my goats are tied. I do not like people to say things like that because I feel like people don't know what they're talking about and they take good things away from people that need help in those areas. Anyhow, I'm going to move on from that. If you deal with depression, doesn't mean Yahweh doesn't love you. Doesn't mean Yahweh has a disdain for you. I cannot tell you exactly why you deal with that, or you deal with anger, or you deal with anything that you struggle with. But I can assure you that if you have a repentant heart and you continue to serve Yahweh and you keep the faith, I can assure you that He loves you. And He has shown me ways in which He loves me even in my darkest times. And one of the things that helps me when I get depressed, one of the things that I have found that helps me is to find other people to help. To help others. To go out of my way to do a good deed for somebody who needs to be helped. It can be something as simple as buying a stranger a cup of coffee or striking up a conversation with the cashier at the store who you can tell may have had a long day. Whatever it is, I try to find something I can do for somebody else. And when I see somebody else smile or appreciate an act of kindness, it boosts my morale and it makes my depression a little less heavy. And so for me, the more things I do for others, the better that I feel. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's hard. If I'm being honest, some mornings I don't want to wake up and get out of bed. But I make myself do that, and I force myself to help other people. And obviously, I believe it's Yahweh's Spirit that enables me to do that. I don't think that I'm doing it on my own. Whether it is depression for you, or whether it is just a rotten feeling, or a death, or divorce, or financial problems, or family issues, no matter what you're going through, or no matter what you will go through in life, don't ever stop serving Yahweh. Keep the faith. Serve Him in the good times, and serve Him in the bad times. Keep pressing on. Don't grow weary. Surround yourself with people who will build you up. Surround yourself with those types of people. The people that you hang out with the most is who are going to rub off on you, and you don't want any sinfulness or constant negativity rubbing off on you. I think about Brother Jerry's sermon. We got to love everybody. That don't mean we necessarily got to like everybody. Brother Jerry can get away with saying things like that. I feel like they come out of his mouth better than they come out of my mouth. But you can love people. Some people you can love from a distance. I got in trouble for saying that one time, but I don't really care. I still believe that. Some people you love from a distance because you can't have constant negativity and pushing you down throughout your life. You got to be around people that build you up. You got to be around things that are positive. You got to be around people that love the Scriptures and love Yahweh and want to encourage you and who cause you to strive for greater levels of holiness in your walk with the Creator. Find somebody who builds you up. Find somebody to talk to. Find someone who won't judge you without tempering it with mercy. I find that a lot of times in our movement, everybody wants to carry around this big old giant hammer and just crash and crush everybody they come across just because they do this or that or keep that law or that law. And then you find out they got problems just like I do when you get to know them. Because anybody can put a veneer on at a Sabbath service or at a feast or on social media. But when you get to know people in their personal life, you realize we're all humans. We all got our problems and our struggles. So find somebody who will talk to you. Not somebody that will okay sin, but somebody that will temper judgment with mercy. They'll listen and they'll care. Don't hold your feelings in until one day you explode. If you have to take a walk in the woods and pour out your heart to Yahweh, He understands that. He knows that we are but flesh. He knows that we are but dust. He doesn't think that you're just supposed to have it all figured out. We're human. He's Yahweh. If we had it all figured out, we would be Yahweh. Keep coming to the assembly. Nobody always feels like coming to the assembly, from the preacher to the pew. Realize that. Everyone has Sabbaths when they don't feel spiritual. Everyone has days when they don't feel spiritual. Come on to the assembly anyway. You'll feel better when you leave, even if it's a little bit. When you sing, when we sing to Yahweh. Sometimes when I sing, I try to picture the Creator on His throne in front of me, high, exalted, glorious, and I sing directly to Him. We're not singing for each other to hear. We do reap the benefit, and it's great to hear a choir of voices. Sometimes I cut the music off when we sing our songs and everybody is singing a song we all know, And it makes me cry because it sounds so beautiful, and I think it's a glimpse of maybe what will happen in the kingdom. But when we sing, it's not primarily for that. We're singing to the Creator. We're singing to the Sustainer of the universe. So we praise Him. We pour our voice out to Him. We pour our heart out to Him. And sometimes we can praise our way out of a storm in our life. So Yahweh loves you today. So do I. So does Brother Matthew. I love all of you very much. I'm in this thing for the long haul. I have come way too far to turn back now. Those who endure to the end will be saved. It's not so much how you start the race as it is how you finish the race. I do not want to be a person who taps out with only a short portion left to go in the race. Even if I have to limp across the finish line, I want to make it across the finish line. I want to limp with faith in my heart. And if you need help making it across the finish line, that's why we're here. That's what we're here for. And a genuine brother or sister can see that you need help, and will pick you up, put your arm around their shoulder, and put their arm around your shoulder and help you in that last leg of the race. Whatever we have to do to finish the race, let's do it. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin that so easily besets us. We have eternal life waiting on us. And because of the joy that lays in front of us, let's endure whatever it is we're called to endure. He or she that endureth to the end shall be saved. He would not have said endure if it was always going to be easy. But the reward is great in heaven. I hope this has blessed you today. May Yahweh bless His word to our hearts.